everyone, welcome to another video, another episode in the new series, What Still Works, where I explore the stash of art supplies that I have and I see what still works for me. If you're new here, hi, my name is Irit. I'm a watercolor and mixed media artist. I love watercolors and I think they are the most magical of painting media, but I do love to mix them with other products. And last episode I was testing my wax pastels, and today I will be testing these hard pastels. So hard pastels are basically kind of like a chalk-like substance, a very concentrated pigment. They come in a huge selection of colors. And I have here two sets that are quite similar in the way they behave and perform, the Prismacolor's new pastel, and this set that I'm fussing around with that I bought in Tel Aviv years ago, just because it was so gorgeous and I hardly ever used it. So these are quite similar. And then we have another kind that you saw in the opening segment of more like handmade hard pastels. I have a set of 3 from Jackson's with these beautiful fluorescent colors. There you can see them now in the center of the screen. Well, 2 of those colors are really beautiful. One is a hideous orange that I don't like at all, but yeah, it is what it is. So these are much softer. I mean, they're still hard and very chalky, but the pigment just like it's like a soft chalk. I don't know. I guess you have to try it to see it, but they are different to handle. They create, you will see, like these really thick chalky, powdery lines, and they were actually, spoiler alert, the most exciting product in this lineup. So we have the hard pastels, then we have the handmade soft hard pastels. I don't know what to call them. Maybe they're soft pastels, but the point is it's like a dry, chalky powder product, dry, chalky product, as opposed to a wax pastel, which has wax in it, or an oil pastel, which has that oiliness. So I hope that makes sense. And then we have the Inktense blocks, which is, I feel it's a product in kind of its own category. It behaves differently. It kind of looks like a hard pastel, but it just has different qualities, and I'll get to that in a second. All in all, I think hard pastels are a beautiful product because they are, you know, you get, first of all, they're like fun to sketch with. You get that child/artist feel when you use them. At least that's how I feel. They come in all these delicious colors. It looks like, you know, candy. And that's why I bought, obviously, 2 sets of these without really using them. So, you know, I give them that. I can understand why people would enjoy using them, but I never really fell in love with them. And that also includes how I feel now after you know, playing with them for this video. So it is what it is. I think they're just not exciting enough with like how they play with watercolors. And I'm using the word exciting very loosely here because for me, just like that resist that I get from using the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 1 wax pastels, which are not water soluble and they are water resistant. I mean, that's exciting to me. This, yeah, I didn't find myself getting excited about it. And I started with just like sketching with them, and the next step is going to be to add watercolor and see how they play together. And you know, it's just nothing really exciting happens. So with wax pastels or oil pastels or anything that is like water resistant, you get that resist effect, which is fun. And then if you have things that are water soluble, that are really reactive to water, such as watercolor pencils or something like the Inktense blocks or the Dina Wakley scribble sticks that I tested last week, then you get that activation of pigment, and then you have sometimes like fun effects. These hard pastels, they don't really do anything exciting with watercolors, and I don't want to insult them because I can understand why people would really, really love using them. I don't know, maybe I will also in the future, but I think they're more a product that, I don't know, maybe it's more enjoyable to use these exclusively, or maybe I just haven't figured out a way to use them in, you know, a way that I like. I feel like I can get that sketchy look also with a pencil or a wax pastel. I don't know if I need these chalky hard pastels. When you paint with them, you get that like powder residue on your paper, which you then have to like blow away, or you know, your hands get a little bit dirty. I'm a very, very messy person. It's kind of one of my big struggles in life, that every area that I occupy just seems to get filled with piles of stuff. And that's one of the reasons that I love watercolor so much. They're such a fuss-free, clean medium to use, which, you know, works well with my personality. I don't have to plan, I don't have to measure, I don't, you know, I just have the one palette, I spray it with water and it's ready to go. It works for me. And these are messy, and I feel like everything that creates more mess is, you know, it's just kind of kills my soul a little bit. Okay, I'm super dramatic, but I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's kind of how I feel. If my hands are dirty, you know, on top of all the mess that surrounds me, it's just like, it's too much. I might have to just, you know, clean up my desk or something if I want to use messy products. So I don't know. It's just not my thing. Now, the exception to all that I'm going to say in this video, which was like, it's not my thing, are these handmade soft pastels. I'm going to call them soft pastels because they're softer. So first of all, two of the colors in the set are just gorgeous. Now I'm painting with a pinker one, and then the other one is like this corally thing. They're fluorescent, so it doesn't translate to camera just how bright they are. But trust me, they are gorgeous. Probably not light fast because all like fluorescent pigments are not light fast, but it's just really beautiful. Now, these deposit, as you can see, a lot more product because they are softer and also more powder. It's just, they kind of, it's very easy to, you know, just like crumble them onto your paper, which is messy, that is correct. But I also found that it was kind of a unique look, and probably one that I don't know if I can create that with my wax pastels. It has that like chalky look to it, which I can appreciate. I think it would be fun to use them on a big kind of loose floral or, you know, beach scene or something like this. So I can see the potential here. Now, because also they have they're soft and they kind of deposit so much powder. Once you add water or watercolor, the excess powder also starts to like float around in the wet areas and kind of create this speckled effect. So that was the one thing that really intrigued me, that I really felt like, yes, I want to see what these can do. Hopefully fight my urge to just grab a bunch of colors, you know, order something, because I only have the 3. I do plan to go to an art store next week if we don't have another lockdown. I don't know, the numbers here are rising again. I'm filming this video during the 2020 and 2021 pandemic, in case you're watching this in the future. So I do have plans to go to a big art store in Vienna. I will try to take my camera with you so you can live vicariously. I haven't been in the art store for I think since spring, I want to say. So it's also been a long time for me. I will see if they have something that is similar to the Jackson's Handmade Pastels. Jackson's is in the UK, and thank you, Brexit. It just doesn't make sense for me to order anything from the UK anymore. So if you don't see me doing any like Jackson's haul, it's not because I don't love the store anymore. I really love them. I think they have fantastic prices, but not when I have to pay 10 euros handling fee plus 20% customs. It's just, it doesn't, it just doesn't make any kind of sense now, sadly. So yeah, that is the situation. Okay. So let's move on to the Inktense blocks. These are quite different. They are made by Derwent, and there are also pencils that have the same product in them. So basically this is like a block, and you can see that you can paint with it very similarly to how you would paint with a hard pastel. The difference is that this is very, very water reactant, and they are really intense when you add water. You'll see that later in the video. And the great thing about them is once they dry, after you activate them with water, once they are dry, they are permanent, which makes them perfect for art journaling. If you like working in layers, they would be a great product for that. I'm aware of all that, and I understand and recognize that this is a good product that is unique and would work well for a lot of people. I've had my set for years. I think the colors are lovely. It's just not a product that I personally fell in love with, and I think I might just give it to someone or sell it, or maybe just, you know, keep it for playing with the kids. Now, it's just doesn't float my boat. What is also different about the Inktense blocks is that if you touch them with a wet brush, you will pick up, you know, a nice amount of pigment on your brush. So you can use them like you would use pans of watercolor. They are that reactive, and you won't get that effect with the other hard pastels. I tried. If you put like a wet brush and, you know, kind of rub the pastel, you pick up very, 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 very little pigment. So really almost nothing. If you, however, kind of scribble with all of these products into a wet area, so either paper you wet beforehand or wet watercolor, it does create kind of a smoother application of the pigment. It looks a bit more intense, and this is true for all of them that I tried, not just the Inktense pencils. So it you know, it does have like an interesting kind of variation that you could play with, how they look in wet areas compared to how they look on kind of textured paper. But yeah, at the end of the day, the only thing I felt excited about and I felt was unique and I kind of appreciated what happened when I added water were the soft pastels from Jackson, which I only have, you know, the 3. So I will maybe try to pick up something similar. You know, try to not go with my immediate instinct of buying all the colors because I, you know, love to see all the colors, but I'm actually very particular with my color choices. And so I really feel that, and this is advice that I give everyone, and I try to follow it, and I have been better with following it in recent, let's say, couple of years. To pick up, if you want to try something, don't buy the biggest set with all the colors. I have done that. So I know how hard it is to resist, especially, you know, if you see a lot of like good reviews and, you know, it could be like a really great product, but it doesn't mean it will work for you. So if possible, you know, buy a small set. I think it's much, I mean, I feel better if I buy a small set, love the product, and then buy a bigger set, like taking that risk of, you know, maybe having duplicates, than buying a huge set of something that I don't really know how it'll work for me. So if I see these soft pastels, I'm going to perhaps pick up a few colors, probably white would be a good choice for me. Maybe, you know, like a bright orangey yellow, a turquoise, kind of my go-to colors, and see how they work for me. The beautiful thing about pastels is that they do come in a beautiful range of colors. I mean, of course, it depends on the brand, but Jackson's, for example, and those soft pastels, I think they have like a staggering color selection. So you know, if it's something that you want to try, just pick up a couple or pick up one of their small sets of like 3 and see how they work for you. If you remember in my wish list gift guide before the holidays, I did see one set. It reminded me as I'm recording this, I remembered that set of something that looks very similar, kind of these handmade soft pastels, soft hard pastels. I really don't know how to call these. In Choosing Keeping. Now, again, that's a UK shop, so I don't think I can justify the cost of ordering, but they had a gorgeous, gorgeous set that the colors were just fantastic. So, yeah, what were we talking about? Shopping for art supplies? Probably. Anyway, now you can see how kind of adding the water, I mean, I'm not sure you can really see it in the video, but I think you can a little bit. You can see how, I think the mistake here is that I used very similar colors. I should have used something more contrasting. But these soft pastels, handmade pastels from Jackson, they do kind of resist the watercolors, and something interesting is happening there. So that is already more appealing and, you know, intriguing than with the other ones. And that is basically my conclusion for this, is that the only product that I felt like I really wanted to play with were, of course, the one that I had the least of and may require shopping. I'm just kidding, but yeah, that's what happened. So you see now I am using a little bit of contrasting colors. I just wanted to see what would happen. And I think these would be fun. I think, for example, I've also been painting some beach scenes. There's a lesson in my intuitive painting with watercolor course about painting a beach scene, and I really think that something like these soft pastels would work really well just because of that texture. I can imagine that for sand and, you know, maybe like the foam of the water. I paint in a very abstract, loose way, so I don't know how it would work, but I can see it being really, really interesting. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, link me to all the great inspiration, but I haven't seen a lot of people use these like handmade soft pastels with watercolor. I think maybe her Billowing Heart, I think she really enjoys using this combination. I'm not sure if she used like the really soft handmade pastels with watercolors. I'll have to look and see in her channel. But besides her, I really can't think of someone that I saw using these soft pastels with watercolors, which, you know, on one hand, it's kind of, you want to see what people explored and did already, but then on the other, that means that I'm more likely to create something that is unique, that is special, that is kind of more my signature look or style. So all of those things are very tempting to me, and as I'm talking about it, I am getting more excited about the possibilities that I could explore here. With these pastels, except the Inktense one that, you know, are permanent once you wet them and let them dry. The other ones are not, so you do have to use a fixative. That's one of the reasons I don't like using them in sketchbooks. I mean, you can spray with this fixative, it's not a big deal, but I don't know, I'm messed up like that. Like every extra thing that I have to do seems to me like a huge obstacle, and everything that adds mess to the existing amount of mess, is, yeah, it's, I shy away from it. So I feel I have enough mess in my life. I don't need to make it worse. So for sketchbooks, it's not a great product. The Inktense blocks are, because as I said, they are permanent once dry. So it's a fussy product, and I am looking forward to playing around with these handmade ones. They are really fun. I said that already. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Next episode, I will be playing with oil pastels. I'm really looking forward to it. I love oil pastels, and I hope that, you know, playing with them, I can reconnect with that, not reconnect, connect with that medium. Again, it's one of those things like these hard pastels. I can see why people are attracted to these and enjoy using them exclusively or painting just with them. But I'm really interested with everything with watercolors. So I don't know if I can make that work for me, but we shall see. So I hope you're enjoying this series. Thank you so much to everyone that left great comments in the first installment. And I'm looking forward to exploring more supplies in my stash and seeing what still works. I will see you in another video soon. Have a lovely day. Thanks for watching. Bye.